With Tarkir Dragonstorm just around the corner and with Final Fantasy kind of hogging the spotlight, it's time to focus and look at what's coming down the pipeline, because Tarkir Dragonstorm, it looks like it's going to be a monster of a hit, and in today's video, I'm going to explain why. We're only T-minus 30 days till the release of Tarkir Dragonstorm pre-release. Players are getting amped up, they're getting excited, and this set, it's selling really well. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today. Now, when we're talking about Tarkir Dragonstorm, it's our first time going back in 10 years. It's been a decade since we got to go back and check out the dragons and the humans, because, you know, there's two timelines there. If you haven't been to this world before, Tarkir is heavily dominated in one timeline with dragons and another timeline with humans. And one has Sark involved finding Ugin, the spirit dragon, who got killed by his brother Nicobolus, and he kind of gets saved and put into a cocoon full of head-drawn things. Anyway, it's a pretty cool story, especially compared to the stuff we're getting nowadays. You might want to go back and look at it. But what I mean by the fact this set is selling well, the collector boxes in many areas are actually selling out. Now, this is not a normal phenomenon when we're seeing any of the new collector boxes. It usually takes weeks and weeks. Even Bloomburrow did not sell out right away. But with this particular set and the excitement getting behind it, even in the face of Final Fantasy being right there going, look at Final Fantasy! Even with all that, I can look at a big store and I can see they're almost sold out of what they're allowing on their pre-orders. They could have more in the back stock, I don't know. They could be hiding some away and squirreling it for later on in case some cool cards come along and they want to mark up the price. I don't know. But I'm saying what's being made available. Small stores are already sold out. Bigger stores have some available, but they are running low. And a couple of stores even knocked it up $10. Just a couple of bucks more. And that's probably because it's not usual to have this kind of interest in a set like this. But let's see why they're interested, because there's reasons why we'd be excited right now for Tarkir Dragonstorm, even for players who have never been there. Number one, the price. When you compare it to Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, the upcoming Universes Beyond sets, an in-house IP costs a lot less for Wizards of the Coast to put together, which means the cards cost a lot less on the face value, at least when you're putting these boxes together, which means they don't have to charge us as much. So here in Canada, it's around $349 to $359 Canadian. No, I don't know about the tariffs yet or how any of that will be applied later on. I'm saying right now on a pre-order. Most big stores will honor pre-orders even if they're going to lose a few bucks, okay? So keep that in mind. But then we go ahead and we look at that price hitting well compared again to Final Fantasy, and you also realize that this is a world full of dragons. Typical fantasy creatures that we love to see. You got people in armor on horseback firing bows and arrows. You got people who've got special powers and mystical things like prowess and stuff being used in case it's the Jeskai, because there's like 5 clans of humans there. With all that information there, it gets pretty ramped up and pretty exciting, especially when you compare it against Aether Drift, which a lot of players, as much as there might be a few people who love it, that few people is a far smaller segment than those who dislike the set. Again, barring any cards that might be exciting. I look at it and say this is now the players kind of unwinding, unleashing the sealed wallet to say, this is something I can get behind. Now again, if you've seen some of the images they've been showing us with the spirit dragons, they show the 5 clans of people with the dragons. I'll show it in a second just so you can get an image in case you haven't seen it. But it's quite interesting. And the good news is with all the sales we've seen with upcoming dragons, a lot of people have missed a few things. And I want to share that with you in today's video because with Tarkir getting so close, these will start getting looked at. No, they don't have to be expensive. They're just cards of note in case you're interested in building some kind of form of dragon commander deck, or just a casual dragon deck, or maybe you just think you need them right now for something later down the line. So let me jump over and show you this first one here, because with all these crazy magic cards, sometimes you forget just how many amazing cards already exist. Here we have the Haven of the Spirit Dragon. You can see right here, it's like a $2-3 card at most. And what it does as a rare is you can add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. So you can use it for anything, which is great. But it's the second and third powers that really matter. So you can also tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, but you have to spend this to cast a dragon creature spell. So I don't know if these are going to be reprinted inside commander decks. I know they have been already before, but if you're a player who's never built a dragon commander deck, or you're thinking about buying these, don't fall into the hype of thinking this is rare or hard to get. These are available. The prices are not going to spike, but somebody might try to control the market by buying out big chunks right away. So if it's a card you're looking for, $2 to $3 at most. Now the second power on this card though says 2 and sacrifice the Haven of the Spirit Dragon to return target dragon creature card or Ugin Planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand. That's a kind of nice ancillary ability, especially in Commander or in other decks, or even in this upcoming set. We don't know what's going to happen. But if they give us a new Ugin card, there's been a few Ugins created, which means there's more opportunities to bring different versions of him back. I like that. Now, our next card, though, is going to be the Crucible of the Spirit Dragon. Now, this one here is, again, less than $1, not expensive. Don't expect it to, be an expensive card. It taps to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. You can also put a charge counter by paying 1 and tapping it, and you get to put a charge counter on this land. Now this reminds me of things from Fallen Empires. They have all these grain storage things. You can put counters every turn, and then it could get a lot of mana for a one-shot deal. This is no different. You can remove X storage counters from Crucible of Spirit Dragon, add X mana of any combination of colors to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast dragon spells or activate abilities of dragons. Not a bad card for under $1, and for people who are trying to build a budget commander deck, this is going to fit right into your wheelhouse. But as we've said before, they are not expensive. They don't have to be expensive to have a good time and enjoy the game. Cards like this can be great additions to when you're building a deck, but at the same time, don't fall prey to thinking these are going to be overpriced, expensive cards. And again, we don't know if they're being reprinted. There's crazy stuff that can happen the closer you get to the release of a set. Even the dragons I pointed out in the 5 cards you should buy before the release, like I did over a month ago to give people good time to get in there, even cards like that, and in particular Tiamat, it's had hundreds and hundreds of sales. It's only upticked like $3 in its entire month and a half, which means there are so many printings of that card out there, it is unaffected by mass market movement. So that's a good thing for a lot of players who may still decide to build with cards like this. Now, they're going to add new dragons. They're going to add new crazy stuff. And there's a few other things I want to point out here as I flip over this page, because I had notes. Now, Mox Jasper allows you that if you have a dragon in play to tap it for any color mana. Okay, remember that snafu I made in the video where I said it taps for dragon mana? No, taps for any mana. But the idea of that card is twofold. One, you know there's going to be some low casting cost dragons, changeling, shapeshifter of some variety to make that utilized in standard. But it also gives it a good lifespan inside of Commander because those same cards can be integrated. Be aware of these cards coming up. And then lands. I showed you 2 lands right now, but those ones are not going to be expensive. In the past, when we were on Tarkir, we got these lands that came into play tap, but tapped for 3 mana. Kind of like how we know the Ikoria lands now, okay? The Triomes. But these lands didn't have cycling. Those types of lands could come back, but at the same time, when you think about the lands that have already been printed up to date, and how many different varieties of lands we have, I would expect something more along the lines of this land comes into play and you gain 1 life. That's kind of what we got with like Fate Reforged and stuff. If they do some lands like that, and then add 1 or 2 new cool kind of lands like I just showed you guys, that might be enough to kind of give us a solid mana base. Because we already have the Verge lands. We already have the Surveil lands, under city sewers and stuff. We have a good variety. Now, the clans, though, because they are the clans like Temur and Sultai and all these clans are here, they're all 3 mana. So it still stands to reason that we have a good chance of getting some version of 3 mana lands of some type. They may have different penalties, different bonuses, but it's something to keep an eye out for. I almost said that wrong, but keep an eye out for. Because when I look at the lands, and the Verge lands in particular, some of them are pretty cheap right now. And if people start to build new standard decks en masse, or new commander decks, or whatever the like, you're going to see a lot of these lands get gobbled up quickly. And some of them didn't have nearly as many box openings as we've seen in the past, which will fluctuate the price a lot more than players expect. And that's because this set is going to be popular. Players are talking about it. Stores are talking about it. They're looking forward to pre-releases. And I have a few emails of pre-releases already selling out. So you better check with your store to see if a pre-release is still available. Because I know for a fact several of these stores, when I confirm with them, they're all sold out. They're booked up for the entire weekend. Which means we're going to probably have a I just want to say a run on it. Where people are going to try to get in. So keep an eye out for it. Check with your local LGS. See how many pre-releases they're running and what times, and then you can check in with your store and see if you can make it to one of them. Either way, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with the Moxman. Thanks for being here today. I myself am very stoked up for Tarkir Dragonstorm. Can't wait to go back to the world. I can't wait to see the story they're going to give us, and of course the spoilers, because they'll be coming very soon. You need to get ready for it and be ready to jump in any cards that go a little bit wonky. Wizards has a way lately of like adding really cool cards in when you least expect it, and it causes a weird secondary market. So if you're thinking of something, maybe you should buy it now before it becomes a problem. Thanks again for hanging out with the Moxman. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow with another video. Until then, shop smart, shop S-Mart, and don't forget, bring a friend to Magic. Oh, here we are at the end of the video. That's right, Tarkir Dragonstorm. It's going to be awesome. But you know what else is awesome? My patrons, my YouTube membership members for supporting my channel. So thanks again to everyone out there who likes, gives the videos a thumbs up, checks out the content every day, and of course to all my YouTube membership members and my patrons for supporting this channel day in and day out. Thanks again for that support, and of course I will see you guys all tomorrow, yep, you guessed it, with another video. Did you know... Oh wait, welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. Did you know that normally I memorize my script ahead of time? I get all my basic facts and points down. I have everything kind of like, into the head, burn it in there, and then I start talking, okay? Once in a while I have like notes in front. I had to put all kinds of notes in today's video because I was afraid of forgetting certain things. I hate when I do that, but it's like, I need notes. Oh, that's probably really loud in the mic. It's too late. I can't go back on this. We don't cut back the Ramble Jamble. But when I was thinking about all these clans, Sultai, Abazan, Tamir, you guys are going to roast me in the comment section. Mardu and Jeskai, right? I remember those clans. I remember the dragons, but I also remember how much fun this set was. And this also has a nostalgic appeal. That being said, you're here at the Ramble Jamble and you want the facts. I cannot believe that many collector boxes for Tarkir Dragonstorm have already sold. Because we don't know the cards yet. They saw that Storm Dragon, people lost their minds now. We've seen Final Fantasy, we've seen Spider-Man. It is enough. This is like some kind of bushfire that just keeps spreading. I didn't know people had this much money to spend on cards. And that brings us to the second part. Not only do people have money to spend on cards, there are people who are so adamant about not spending money on these cards that they're buying more reserve list cards. A store told me that they sold a Black Lotus. No, not for mini mox. They're like, oh, somebody just came in and picked it up. It was like 16 grand. They took it. It was in Canada. $16,000 Canadian. I was like, well, that's not every day. I mean, sometimes I hear about it through like Facebook groups, but not Canada. Not done there. It was an e-transfer, by the way. Very interesting. Very interesting. There you go. That's it. Anything else to say? Should I look at my notes? No, we're good. Whew! Thank goodness. I forgot something there. I was starting to break a sweat. No, I wasn't. You guys are awesome. You know it. It's been a good day. I've had too much coffee, but that's okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Coffee! Ramble Jamble!